Picture this.
Yeah.
You're standing at the grocery store checkout. You tap your phone against the little terminal to pay. It makes that satisfying little beep, and you hand your kid a candy bar.
Right, a totally normal, everyday scenario.
Exactly. Now, to you, that was a highly visible, calculated transaction,
Yeah.
You just spent $2.50 of money you actually worked for.
Yeah, you felt that cost.
But to your kid,
Yeah.
you just used a glowing magic wand to summon chocolate out of thin air.
That's incredibly accurate.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're unpacking a dynamic that, every single person listening to this has either witnessed or dealt with firsthand.
It really is the ultimate blind spot of modern convenience. I mean, we have completely removed the friction of spending.
Which is great for us. But
Right. But by doing so, we've accidentally hidden the whole concept of money from an entire generation of children.
And when you take that vanishing life skill and you combine it with the daily, exhausting, sometimes tear-inducing battle over screen time in the modern home, you get a uniquely modern crisis.
Oh, absolutely.
Parents are stressed, kids are constantly hooked to their devices, and nobody knows how a dollar actually works anymore. So for part 3 of our deep dive series into modern edtech solutions, we are looking at something attempting to solve both of those massive headaches simultaneously.
And we have an incredibly revealing stack of source material today. Like, this isn't just PR fluff.
No, not at all.
We are looking at internal strategy documents, product briefs, and the core pedagogical guidelines from an educational technology company called bornfab.
Yeah, and what is especially compelling here is that we aren't reading outward-facing marketing copy.
Right. We are reading their internal thinking DNA and their modern parent playbook. It shows us exactly how they view the families they're actually trying to reach.
Our mission today is to explore how bornfab's specific gameplay feature, which they call Coin Quest, acts as this, brilliant digital Trojan horse.
A Trojan horse is the perfect way to describe it.
It really is. It aims to solve the hidden crisis of the cashless society while simultaneously ending those family screen time wars through a really rigorous play-to-earn ecosystem.
It is a massive swing, but to understand the mechanics of how they are trying to fix this, we really have to look at the psychological environment that created the problem in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we get into the nuts and bolts of the app's architecture, we need to establish why it's even necessary.
Right, the root cause.
And it starts with that grocery store scenario I mentioned earlier. To a child, tap to pay is indistinguishable from magic.
It's literally just a wand.
Exactly. They never see the math. They never see the subtraction happening behind the scenes.
And the bornfab documents, they explicitly refer to this as the illusion of infinite money.
The illusion of infinite money. Wow.
Yeah. If you think about the cognitive development of a child in that 6 to 11 age range, they rely heavily on physical, visual evidence to understand the world.
Right. If they can't see it, it doesn't exist.
Precisely. But today, money has become entirely invisible. When you pay with a physical $20 bill and get a $5 bill in return, a child can visibly see that your stack of resources has shrunk.
Yeah, the pile gets smaller.
Exactly. But a piece of plastic or a smartphone, it doesn't get smaller or lighter when you buy a candy bar.
So the physical feedback loop of spending is just gone. Naturally, kids assume those cards hold an endless reservoir of funds.
Which is terrifying when they eventually get their hands on a controller and find a microtransaction store in a video game.
Oh, don't even get me started. We've all heard the horror stories of kids racking up $1,000 bills on Roblox.
Right. But the sources highlight that this goes way beyond just a conceptual misunderstanding. There is a real, measurable loss of practical skills happening in real time.
What kind of skills? Specifically?
Well, we are seeing a steep decline in foundational math skills tied to currency. Kids are struggling with basic coin identification.
Wait, really? Just knowing what the coins are?
Yes. They don't know the difference in value between a dime and a nickel because, well, the dime is smaller but worth more.
Oh, right. That makes no logical sense unless you're taught it.
Exactly. It's a concept that only makes sense through repeated physical exposure. And they are severely struggling with skip counting.
Which is counting by 5s, 10s, or 25s, right?
Which used to be built naturally into a child's day. A generation ago, if a kid wanted a comic book, they had to sit on their bedroom floor and count out 4 quarters to make a dollar.
Yeah, I remember doing exactly that with my piggy bank.
And that act of skip counting by 25s is foundational for understanding fractions and larger mathematical groupings later in life.
That makes so much sense.
But because physical cash is rarely used at home anymore, those mental arithmetic reflexes just aren't being built.
And then you look at the other side of the equation, the parents. I was reading through bornfab's Modern Parent Playbook, which is their internal guide for understanding their target demographic, and the insights there are just remarkably raw.
They don't sugarcoat it at all.
Not one bit. Parents are exhausted. They're tired of the constant whining battles over iPads. They're terrified their kids are falling behind financially, and they carry a ton of guilt about using screens as a babysitter.
It's a huge burden. But the playbook also acknowledges a crucial reality. Modern parents know that entirely banning technology socially isolates their kids.
Yeah, you can't just throw the tablet in the river.
Right, tech is the new neighborhood. You can't just banish them from it.
And parents also know that just buying another digital math worksheet is pointless because the kid will just fight it tooth and nail.
It becomes just another battleground.
Exactly. What the internal documents say is that parents aren't buying software. They are literally buying peace of mind.
That highlights the massive gap in the modern home, though. I mean, parents are deeply frustrated because trying to teach these invisible concepts of digital money using, like, plastic play money or boring paper worksheets, it feels incredibly disconnected from the child's reality.
Yeah, it feels like homework.
Right. It just ends in sighs, rolling eyes, and resistance.
So if traditional teaching methods are failing, and just yanking the tablet away and turning off the Wi-Fi causes a full-blown family meltdown, bornfab realized they had to shift the dynamic entirely.
They had to flip the script.
Right. Instead of fighting the screen, they made the screen time itself the ultimate reward.
This is the core paradigm shift of their entire platform. bornfab makes a very deliberate distinction in their strategy documents. They are not an app blocker.
So they aren't just a timer that shuts the phone off.
No, not at all. They are not a digital padlock that just locks a kid out when their hour is up.
So how are they actually gating the screen time? What is the actual mechanic they use?
They act as a gatekeeper using a strict play-to-earn methodology. The golden rule of the bornfab ecosystem is that cognitive effort is the only path to digital leisure.
The only path.
Wow, there are absolutely no shortcuts. If a child wants to open YouTube or Roblox or Minecraft, they hit a toll booth.
A toll booth. I like that analogy.
Yeah, they must spend 2 to 5 minutes solving financial math challenges. And once they successfully complete the module, the app automatically and instantly unlocks their chosen recreational app.
Okay, wait. I have to jump in here with some skepticism.
Sure, go ahead.
If you tie learning directly to screen time, are you just reinforcing the idea that screens are the ultimate prize? Doesn't this backfire and make the kid obsess over the iPad even more?
That is a very valid concern, and it's one the developers actually address head-on in the bornfab Thinking DNA document.
Oh, really? What's their defense?
Their counter-argument is that, to a child, the screen is already the ultimate prize. Fighting that reality is what causes the exhaustion in the first place.
Huh. That is pragmatically brilliant, actually.
Right. bornfab isn't trying to make screens less appealing. They are harnessing that existing overwhelming motivation and forcing it to fuel cognitive growth.
Okay, but what stops a kid from just rushing through? Like, if they are desperately trying to get back to building a house in Roblox, doesn't that make the learning completely superficial?
You think so, yes.
Are they just mindlessly tapping the screen, guessing answers over and over until the timer runs out and then the app unlocks?
The architecture actively prevents spam clicking through friction. I mean, traditional school software often tests rote memorization. Just click the right answer to move on.
Yeah, just guess until it turns green.
Exactly. But bornfab's system is built to reward deliberate thinking. The games are specifically designed to build 10 lifelong traits. And 2 that they heavily emphasize in the documents are being observant and persistent.
How does software force a kid to be observant?
By penalizing thoughtless action. If a child just starts dragging random coins into the answer box, the game doesn't just buzz and let them try again instantly.
Oh, it makes them wait.
Yes. It introduces a brief cooldown timer. It literally forces them to slow down, look at the screen, and gather information before acting.
That's so smart.
It shifts the mechanics so that taking your time is actually the fastest way to get back to your game.
And the persistence aspect, how do they build that?
That comes into play when they make a genuine mistake. The system is designed to make the act of trying again feel rewarding rather than punishing.
So no big red X's flashing on the screen.
Exactly. No red X's. It uses gentle nudges to recalculate. And beyond the screen time they earn, the app also utilizes a secondary intrinsic reward system, avatar customization.
Oh, I found this part fascinating in the reading.
Mm.
The kids earn in-game coins that are completely separate from their screen time credits.
Yes, they earn a digital currency they can keep within the bornfab environment to buy hats, outfits, and gear for their character.
Like their own little digital wardrobe.
Exactly. It creates a microeconomy right there on the device. So while they are doing math to earn YouTube time, they are also subtly learning about saving up for a more expensive digital item, budgeting their daily earnings, and delaying gratification.
It's less like hiding vegetables in their favorite meal and more like making them build the engine before they get to drive the car.
That's a great way to put it.
They have to understand the underlying mechanics of the fuel in this case. Money, before they get to spend their recreational time. Let's look at what this actually looks like in practice. Let's zoom in on the specific mechanics of bornfab's flagship financial game, CoinQuest, to see how this prevents that mindless tapping.
The mechanics of CoinQuest are deceptively simple on the surface, but cognitively very rich.
Walk me through it.
The core gameplay loop works like this. A target amount appears at the top of the smartphone or tablet screen, let's say $1.45.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Right. Below that target is a visual tray filled with highly realistic digital coins. The child has to select and drag the correct combination of those coins from the tray into a digital piggy bank to match the exact target amount.
And the sensory details they programmed into this are just wildly intentional. I mean, tapping a coin, holding it, and dragging it plays this incredibly realistic, metallic clinking sound.
Yes, it's not just a generic beep.
Right. They are using multimodal feedback, audibly and visually, connecting this digital object to its physical, real-world weight and value.
Multimodal feedback is crucial for memory retention. By engaging sight, sound, and the physical kinetic motion of dragging the coin, the brain creates stronger neural pathways.
It makes it real for them.
Exactly. And through this specific gameplay loop, bornfab is building 4 foundational cognitive pillars of financial literacy. The first is coin identification.
Which sounds simple, but as we discussed earlier, kids just don't know what coins look like anymore. The game forces them to instantly recognize the visual differences, the sizes, the colors, and assign value to them. What's the second pillar?
Skip counting. Doing that mental addition by 5s, 10s, and 25s as they drag multiple coins over to the bank.
Let's look at skip counting for a second, because the source document spent a lot of time on this. Why is counting by 5s or 25s so critical to cognitive development?
Because it forces the developing brain to move away from basic 1 plus 1 linear addition. If you only count by ones, your brain treats every number as an isolated island.
Okay, that makes sense.
Skip counting teaches the brain to recognize patterns and group numbers into chunks. It introduces the concept of multiplication and fractions organically.
Because a quarter is a piece of a whole.
Exactly. When a kid drags 3/4 and skip counts 25, 50, 75, they are building a mathematical framework that will help them with algebra a decade later.
Which perfectly sets up the third pillar, making change. This is where the cognitive load gets heavier, right? Because now we are introducing subtraction into the mix.
Yes, the game scales up the difficulty.
The game might change the parameters and ask the child, show me how to make $1, but you can only use dimes and nickels.
And you cannot rote memorize your way out of that prompt. You have to actively calculate it. You have to evaluate the resources in your tray, understand the constraints, and execute a strategy.
Which leads to the fourth cognitive pillar, mental arithmetic reflexes. The goal is automaticity.
Precisely. By doing this repeatedly in these short, friction-filled 2 to 5 minute bursts day after day, basic currency arithmetic becomes automatic.
It just becomes second nature.
Right. The child stops pausing to count on their fingers. The brain internalizes the patterns so deeply that the math just happens in the background.
And the way the game scales with the child's age is brilliant. They use what the internal documents call a cognitive progression model.
Yes, this is where the algorithmic backend really shines. The game doesn't just make the math problems harder by throwing bigger numbers at the kid.
It's not just adding more zeros.
No, it actually changes the fundamental way the child has to think about the problem.
Wait, how does the algorithm even know the difference between a 6-year-old's capabilities and an 11-year-old's?
It constantly tracks error rates, hesitation times, and the variety of coin combinations used.
Oh, wow. It's really watching how they play.
It is. For a 6 or 7-year-old, the game provides a lot of scaffolding. It might prompt them with an open-ended, low-pressure question like, what do you notice about these coins? It guides exploration.
Gently holding their hand.
Right. But as the system detects mastery, it actively fades that scaffolding out. By the time that user is 10 or 11, the prompts shift dramatically. The game asks, can you solve this without being shown how?
It pushes them out of the nest. It moves them from guided exploration to independent mastery.
Exactly.
Okay, so the kid is learning. We understand their experience. They hit a toll booth. They play a cognitively rich puzzle. They get their Roblox time. But if I'm a parent in the other room, answering work emails or cooking dinner, how do I actually know they are learning?
That's the big question.
Right. How do I know they aren't just staring at a loading screen or finding a workaround? This brings us to the back end of the system.
The backend is entirely separated from the child's device. This is where the parent dashboard comes in, and it lives exclusively on the parent's phone. It provides what bornfab internally calls proof of work.
Proof of work. I love that phrasing. It borrows from crypto terminology, but applies it to a child's cognitive labor.
It gives the parent total visibility without requiring them to hover over the child's shoulder.
Which nobody has time to do anyway.
Exactly. In real time, a parent can open their app and see exactly how their child's mental arithmetic speed is improving. They can see daily streaks.
Oh, streaks are a huge motivator.
Oh, huge. They can see which specific concepts like subtracting by tens or identifying nipples their child has mastered and where they're getting stuck. You are never guessing if the app is working. The raw data is handed directly to you.
And looking at the product specs, the environment they built is incredibly locked down, which will thrill any parent who has ever caught their kid sneaking out of an educational app to browse the web. bornfab is built offline first.
Which means it does not require an active internet connection to run the learning modules.
That's huge.
It eliminates the risk of browser workarounds. It is fully COPPA compliant, adhering to the absolute highest federal standards for children's digital privacy.
That is so rare these days.
It is. And crucially, there are 0 ads, 0 microtransactions with real money, and 0 social media integrations anywhere in the learning environment.
Let's talk about their brand communication philosophy, because reading the Modern Parent Playbook, I was struck by how empathetic it is.
It's very unique for the industry.
Right. EdTech marketing usually relies on scaring parents, your kid's falling behind, or technology's rotting their brain. But bornfab's internal rules explicitly forbid that.
They state very clearly never use guilt or shame. They never allow their copywriters to use phrases like, kids are addicted to devices.
Because parents are already drowning in guilt. They don't need an app developer making them feel worse about handing over an iPad so they can, take a shower.
Exactly. Instead of shaming the reality of modern parenting, they reframe the entire conversation around making screen time meaningful.
I really appreciate that approach.
The company actually maintains an internal database called the Story Bank, where they meticulously log and track the exact language parents use in focus groups and support tickets.
Wow, they're really listening to them.
They are. The quote that serves as their North Star, highlighted in huge text in the documents, is a mother saying, I just want screen time to be useful.
I just want screen time to be useful. That single sentence drives their entire development process. They aren't trying to replace physical parenting. They are just trying to make the digital environment work for the family instead of against it.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this. So what does this all mean? When you step back and look at this entire ecosystem, the app completely neuters the central conflict of the modern living room.
It removes the friction entirely.
Right. By putting the toll booth on the device itself, the parent is entirely removed from the role of the bad cop. You no longer have to be the one yelling that time is up.
The app does the yelling for you.
Exactly. The phone itself becomes the boundary, and more importantly, the phone becomes the financial mentor.
It is a masterful synthesis of behavioral psychology and technology. The real genius of the entire platform isn't just the math games, though. It is what bornfab calls the habit of achievement loop.
Explain that loop.
Well, by creating this totally reliable, predictable cycle where a child encounters friction, applies cognitive effort to overcome it, earns rewards, and then unlocks their highly desired recreational time, bornfab accomplishes something much deeper than financial literacy.
It's about the work ethic.
Yes. They don't just teach kids how many quarters make a dollar. They teach them that deep focus, persistence, and hard work have tangible, immediate value.
It teaches them that focus has a payoff.
They are learning the mechanics of money, yes, but they are fundamentally learning the mechanics of effort.
Wow.
In a world of instant gratification, teaching a child that they have to work to earn their leisure time is a profound psychological victory for a parent.
It really is. To distill all of this down, bornfab's Coin Quest is taking the invisible, completely abstract concept of modern digital money, and it is using tactile, multimodal gameplay to make it tangible again.
It brings it back to reality.
Right. Through this clever, friction-filled 2 to 5 minute play-to-earn loop, it is actively rescuing children from the void of infinite scrolling, and it's giving exhausted parents a guilt-free, reliable routine that actually builds life skills.
It respects the reality of the modern home. I mean, it doesn't pretend screens are suddenly going to disappear.
Because they aren't.
No, they aren't. It simply demands that the screen time is earned through measurable cognitive growth.
Which leaves you wondering about the broader future applications of this kind of system. Think about it. If this earn your screen time toll booth model works so perfectly to teach the invisible concept of digital currency, what else could we do with it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Think about all the other vital but completely invisible adult life skills out there.
Well,
Could we use this exact same friction-based method to teach a 10-year-old about digital privacy,
oh, absolutely.
or emotional regulation, or even how to recognize online misinformation before they ever get the chance to log on to their social feeds?
The back-end architecture is certainly robust enough to support it. Once you establish the cultural rule in a home that learning is the only currency that buys digital leisure, the curriculum you can plug into that toll booth is virtually limitless.
It really is an open frontier. So to all of you listening who are tired of fighting the digital tide in your own homes, maybe it's time to stop thinking of that tap-to-pay phone as a magic wand that just makes toys appear. Maybe, with the right gatekeeper installed, it can actually be the tool that reveals exactly how the magic trick is done.
End screen time battles today. Download bornfab on the App Store and Google Play.